Thunder champion and league MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has signed his Supermax extension, and now the Thunder are giving Chet Holmgren a fully guaranteed 5-year rookie max extension that could reach $250 million. Meanwhile, former number 1 pick Paolo Banchero agreed to a 5-year rookie max extension with the Magic that could reach $287 million after having a career year last season where he averaged nearly 26 points per game. And just last night, you might have been sleeping, but Suns superstar Devin Booker agreed to a 2-year, $145 million max extension. Goes all the way through to the 2029-2030 season. Booker's average annual value of $72.5 million is now the richest in NBA history, surpassing SGA's latest deal. Wendy, I'm starting here with you on Devin Booker, a big one for the Phoenix Star. What was your initial reaction to that deal?
Well, let me just say a couple of things on this one, Courtney. I know people are going to react to that enormous number and that fact that you just said, that is the largest per season contract in NBA history. I just want to point out that this contract is for 3 years from now, for years 4 and 5 of the deal. And by 29 and 2030, $70 million is going to be the going rate for a max level player in the NBA. And by actual percentage of the salary cap, he's actually will be making less potentially by percentage in 5 years than he's making this year with the Suns. That's trying to give you some context. But the Suns decided to do this deal months ago. When they entered the offseason, they knew they wanted to make sure their franchise player was locked up, especially as they were preparing to trade Kevin Durant. Booker decided he was going to take it at that time. And I know this because he's been involved with the major decision-making in the franchise in the offseason. He was part of the interview process with Jordan Ott, who won a long, multi-candidate search to get that head coaching job. When they traded Kevin Durant, they consulted with Booker before taking the deal that they did with the Rockets. Booker has been in lockstep with the franchise. Now, if you want to say to me, should Devin Booker in his prime be locking himself up for the next 5 years with a franchise that is hamstrung by some flawed trades it's made over the last couple of years, particularly Durant and Bradley Beal? That's a different concept. But I would say to you, as I would say to anybody, if somebody offers you $145 million, the answer is probably yes. And that is the big reason why Booker took it, in addition to him being a huge Kobe Bryant fan and wanting to do what Kobe did, which is to play his whole career with one team.
David, what's your reaction to that?
Let's start with the positive here. Let's start with the positive here with Devin Booker. Devin Booker absolutely deserves this kind of money. He's one of the best shooting guards in the league. He was the best player on a team that went to an NBA Finals a few years ago. This makes all the sense in the world from him from a financial standpoint. $145 million, a lot of money. Now, let's talk about the problem here. The Phoenix Suns are doomed to purgatory and one of the more rudderless franchises that we have in all of the NBA. And I don't think there's a franchise I would want to be less for the next few years than this Phoenix Suns team. A few years ago, they had what was the blueprint for the type of team that gets to championships and gets deep into playoff runs. They had a player in Devin Booker. They had a young core around them. They had a team that everybody is trying to emulate right now. They blew that up to bring in older players, to bring in the Kevin Durants of the world, to bring in Beal and those type of guys. And now they have a franchise where they do not really have picks for a long time, for many years, control their own picks. And they have, middling players around Devin Booker. Let's be honest, no disrespect to those players. Their hope is that one of these draft picks they have this year can turn into somebody. But Devin Booker is really looking at a situation that is pretty closely to one of his teammates, which is Bradley Beal when he was in the Washington Wizards, where you are a shining star around a franchise that really has no way to put any big talent around you or make any sort of run deep into the playoffs, and you cannot build through the draft. This is something that I would not want to be in, all things considered, taking away the money. But when the money's concerned, yes, you have to take it. But he has to understand that he is going to be part of a franchise that's going nowhere for most of the time he's on that contract.
That's a hard pill to swallow if you think of the fact that he's 28 years old right now. I'm not even thinking about 5 years down the line when he's 34. And Windy, obviously, he had 3 years remaining on his current contract before they did this extension, but he's the face of Phoenix sports, guys. Like, this is something that was in the works for a while, and they had to do it. But I'm thinking of what David just said, Wendy, like the most directionless franchise in the West, in the NBA. How do you react to that?
Well, it's possible, Courtney, that the Suns are about to make another 5-year deal. They have had discussions with Bradley Beal about buying him out of his contract. And I mean, we just saw this with Dame Lillard in Milwaukee. If this happens, and it's still an if, and they waive and stretch him, which is something I think they're seriously considering, Bradley Beal would be on the books for 5 more years. That means that while Devin Booker is making $70 million in 2028, 29, and 29, 30, Bradley Beal would be making $22 or so million in that same year. And the idea of having Bradley Beal having to be an anchor on your cap for that long is hard to swallow. And the reason that they're going to do it, or the reason they're seriously thinking about doing it, is because it's going to potentially save them over $150 million this year in luxury tax, this year alone. It is not a move that like Milwaukee did, where they're trying to bring in a player to help him immediately, help Giannis Antetokounmpo immediately. At least that you can go to your franchise star and say, we're doing this, it's going to hurt us in the future, but we want to get you a center. If this happens, and I want to underscore if they buy out Bradley Beal, it would be to save luxury tax money. And by the way, $150 million, that's a reason to do it. But that's the situation that Devin Booker is re-signing with, and I think everybody's eyes are wide open.
Kind of like the new bend and snap, maybe? Anybody get the Legally Blonde reference there? Am I the only one? Okay. All right, so you mentioned Giannis Antetokounmpo. Let's pick up there from stars with some long-term staying power to one that we are closely watching to see what his future holds. In Milwaukee, when Giannis' season ended in the first round of the playoffs, our Shams Charania reported that for the first time ever, the Greek Freak was open to playing for another team. So far, crickets on that front, but Giannis was on a stream with iShowSpeed Speed this morning and was asked whether he's staying put.
LA, the tax is bad. New York, tax is bad.
Yeah.
Hell no.
A lot of people tried to convince me to go and play there and stuff.
Oh, no.
No.
So you staying in Milwaukee?
Probably. We'll see.
That's the hard-hitting journalism we want there. A direct question towards Giannis. Wendy, obviously some hemming and hawing. He probably doesn't want to lay it all out there when his mind isn't made up. But are these comments something or nothing?
Real talk, that was a great question, and thank you for asking it. Also, Courtney, Giannis is having a better day than me and you. He is seaside, I think, in Greece. So let's keep that in mind. I'm not going to sit here and overreact to this, but the fact that he just said we'll see is the basis of why a bunch of teams are considering holding their assets to try to make a trade for Giannis sometime in the foreseeable future. We'll see is enough in the NBA. That's the value of a superstar player is so high, and the impact that one franchise-changing player can make is so great that a player simply saying we'll see, whether it's on a stream or it's behind the scenes at a party or to another player on a court, we'll see has gotten teams to tear up future plans and to plan years in advance and to hoard cap space and picks. I've seen it happen. So while on one hand, it's not Giannis saying he wants to do anything but be in Milwaukee, it does explain why teams are keeping a very close eye on this situation. And I would say that Giannis provided no clarity on his future with those remarks. And no clarity is what's been driving the speculation around Giannis.
I don't know about you guys. I'm having a great day here in New York City. I don't really have the seaside element, but it's still obviously a good day to be here. David, what do you think Milwaukee's front office, when they hear what Giannis just said, which, as Wendy pointed out, is kind of a whole lot of nothing, how do they approach that?
Well, first of all, I think it was really cool to watch the stream and see the great greatest athlete of our generation hanging out with Giannis Antetokounmpo. That was really cool to see those two guys together. But if I'm Milwaukee, Wendy is talking about the we'll see of it. If I'm Milwaukee, I am clinging on to the probably so. I am clinging on to this notion that Giannis is coming back because that's all I have. I have basically thrown my franchise into flux with the possibility of the promise that Giannis should be coming back. I have put Dame Lillard's money, $100 million on the books for multiple years with the hope that Giannis is coming back. Got Miles Turner on the team with the belief that Giannis is coming back. I have been of the belief that is absolutely madness that this has not been done in conjunction with Giannis, that he has not been part of the conversation all along. And the fact that there is any sort of question mark about this after they've done all of this, I would be in complete panic mode of the fact that Giannis is still not coming out and saying, absolutely, I'm coming back to Milwaukee. Absolutely, I wanted Miles Turner. Absolutely, they've done all the things right for me this offseason. I would be really worried about that if I'm Milwaukee. But the thing you have to hold on to is the probably so, because that is the most affirmation that Giannis has given you since the season ended, and you have to hope that that means he's coming back.
Wendy, I'm giving you the final word here. Obviously, you see all of those moves and Miles Turner at the front line for the Bucks offseason. But how do you think Giannis is taking all this in, not being a part of it, but clearly seeing what they're doing from Greece?
Well, he's as much of a part of it as he wants to be. He is, the centerpiece of the franchise. But I will have to give David, and I have to agree with him on this. When you make a $200 million move, which that's what that was, waiving the last 113 of Dame Lillard's contract and taking on $107 million of Miles Turner, it equals $200 million. When you make a $200 million move and encumber your books for the next 5 years, 4 with Turner, 5 with Dame, you'd like to hear more than probably. So I would say, again, I don't want to overreact, and I know that we're in mid-July here, but $200 million hopefully buys more than probably, and it doesn't appear to have done that.
Yeah, probably they're hoping will turn into a maybe and then a absolute definitely yes, Giannis stays in Milwaukee. But for now, that's all we've gotten from the Greek Freak. The silence has effectively been broken, but not by much. A team that has yet to return to the finals since they won it all in 2023. So let's dive into the financials for Jokic, why he would do this. This superstar is eligible to sign a 3-year, $200 million extension this offseason. But if he waits till 2026, next offseason, Jokic is able to add that 4th year, an additional $77 million, according to our front office insider, Bobby Marks. So eyebrows are always raised when a star player isn't clamoring to extend his contract at the first opportunity to do so. But financially, another $77 million, I would probably take that same path. Wendy, should Nuggets fans be concerned about Jokic not signing now?
They should not be concerned, but they should take notice. And so Jokic is the rarest thing in pro basketball. He is a megastar who is no stress. They have never for one day had to ever stress about his contract. He doesn't apply pressure to the organization. He doesn't say things on social media. He doesn't say things on streams, Seaside, about the only thing that he does is go to horse races and dance while drinking wine in the offseason. He is a absolute no-stress superstar. And the last time around, he signed the contract. It was a supermax at the time. No worries whatsoever. Has delivered championships, has stayed healthy, says nothing in the media or anything that causes problems. So this is the first time really in his career he's ever said no. Now, Josh Kroenke, who is their governor, a couple of weeks ago had a press conference and he said, we're going to offer it to Giannis and he's probably going to turn it down because he knows about the $77 million that you just broke down. But it is something to take notice of. So it's something to take notice of in 2025. If he says no again in 2026, we're going to have a 5-alarm fire. And so what we are seeing right now is we are seeing some teams in the league start to make decisions with an eye towards 2027. We're seeing teams like the Clippers and the Lakers potentially trying to save up cap space. And 2027 is when Jokic can be a free agent and when Giannis can be a free agent. Now, maybe both of them extend, and this is not a topic, but the we'll see and the eyebrow raise part of it, that causes action in the NBA, and that's what we're seeing.
$77 million could buy you a lot of horses if you're Jokic here. But David, the Nuggets have done a lot this offseason. They go and get Cam Johnson. They trade Michael Porter Jr. They get Valanciunas. Like, how do you think what they're doing right now will entice him to want to stay there?
Well, I mean, I think they're making moves sort of in the right direction. I like what they did this offseason, bringing back Brown and Hardaway and then making the move with Cam Johnson. I like those moves, and I think this team will be a little bit better. But I think what we're seeing in the big picture with Giannis, with Jokic, is these players that we consider no-frills players that kind of go along with the organization and trust in their front office to build teams around them better. These guys have each won a championship. And what we're seeing is that they understand that the route to get to that second title includes a little bit of pressure on that front office. Yes, it makes financial sense for Jokic to get that extra $77 million into weight. But there is a benefit. There is an incentive there to let these people know, let the front office know that, hey, I'm not just going to go along anymore and just trust what you are doing with this team. I want to put pressure on you. I've watched people like LeBron James, like Kevin Durant, like those guys move and do things to make organizations build better around them and put pressure on them, and it's, garnered success for them. Maybe we should get on the boat and do a little bit of that. And I think Jokic, in the back of his mind and above that $77 million, is a desire to put pressure on that Nuggets team and let them know that it is not taken for granted that I am re-signing with you guys. I want to see actual improvement with this team, with this roster. I want championship level players around me, and that is, a reason to do this as much as that benefit of the $77 million.
So I guess for now we can put a pause on all of those jersey edits that I've seen flying around Twitter the last couple of days. You're right, because they said with their actions, when they fired Michael Malone, they fired their GM Calvin Booth, that they were going to be building everything around Jokic going forward. Proof is in the pudding, though. OKC isn't going anywhere. The Houston Rockets got a lot better this offseason. So did the Denver Nuggets. But to see what this team becomes now that they have a better roster around their superstar, proof's in the pudding. And we'll see what that pudding looks like in 2026. All right, let's stay in the West. The Lakers earlier this week introducing their biggest offseason acquisition as DeAndre Ayton spoke to the media in LA earlier this week. The former #1 overall pick hopes to fill a major need for the purple and gold at that center position, which has him eager to team up with Luka and LeBron.
They both averaged about 9 assists over their career span, and just the type of players they create with their teammates. They turn them into superstars, and they make them bigger than their roles and make them very important on the floor as well. And just seeing that and finally getting the chance to go in and experience that would be big for me, and just get me back to my full form how I used to play, and just coming up and just being a part of the finals is those playmakers that I'm used to having around me that's leading to win.
Okay, so we know the center position was obviously a huge need. The Lakers tried to fulfill it at the trade deadline. That fell through. They do it with DeAndre Ayton. They also re-sign Jackson Hayes. David, when you take a look at the expectations in Los Angeles, based on what they did in free agency, what is a fair and realistic place for them to be in 2025?
Honestly, the fair place is for them to be kind of where they were last year. I don't see this team leapfrogging back to where they were in terms of the standings, being in the top 4, having home court advantage in the first round. But I do see them having a similar first-round exit this year than they had last year. There are just so many teams in the West I think are just quite frankly better than them. OKC, Houston, Denver, Minnesota. That's 4 already. I think the Clippers are better than them. I think they still have holes defensively. I think they still could use another big behind Ayton. I'm not sure if Hayes is necessarily that guy. The only thing to me that would change the ceiling and how we look at this team is if Luka Doncic comes out and is top 3 player in the league, top 5 player, MVP like Luka Doncic, all-world type player, and we see the same guy that carried the Dallas Mavericks to the finals. If we get that guy, that raises the level of the ceiling for this Lakers team.
Yeah, so for the first time in 23 years, a team that has LeBron James on it, the main focus of the team is not LeBron. When he was a rookie, he was the main focus. 10th year, 17th year, 22nd year, he was the focus. That's not the case. And so for the Lakers to rise above where they were last year, you're not expecting it to come from LeBron. LeBron was a second team all NBA player as a 40-year-old. That's not going to increase. What you're looking for is Luka. The team is building around Luka. Its major offseason focus is not Ayton, it's not LeBron, it's not Jake LaRavia, it's getting Luka into a contract. And the focus for the 25-26 season is Luka. If he can be great, that's how they elevate. Now, we're going to get a sneak peek of this because coming up in August, Luka is playing for the Slovenian national team in the European Championships. This is regarded as the most intense basketball tournament in the world. He won it like 6 or so years ago. It's the greatest accomplishment of his basketball career, is leading little Slovenia to the Eurobasket Championship. We're going to get an idea of where Luka is physically and where he is mentally. We're going to be able to watch him in August and September, and we're going to have a better idea then of what the Lakers are going to be. I know what LeBron James is going to be. He's going to report in shape, ready to play, ready to produce. He's probably going to average 25, 7, and 7 because that's who he is. But that is not enough to elevate the Lakers for more than what they were. Luka winning an MVP, which is something that we have really thought was going to happen for the last couple of years, but hasn't, that takes the Lakers to the next level.
And we know JJ Redick will be watching that closely. The comments about everybody showing up in shape felt kind of pointed towards one player in particular. I want to stay in the state of California here. The Warriors haven't done anything. Only team right now in the NBA to not make a singular move in free agency. We're in this weird holding pattern. Are they going to trade Jonathan Kuminga? Will it be a sign and trade? Whatever it is. Windy, what do you make of the Warriors' lack of moves so far?
I make nothing of it. First of all, the Warriors made one of the biggest trades of last season when they acquired Jimmy Butler for really a quality in terms of assets out, bringing him in. I know it was overshadowed that week by Luka getting traded, but Jimmy Butler, when that team was healthy before Steph got hurt, was very potent down the stretch of the season. So let's not forget that they have Jimmy Butler. Secondly, I expect them to make a couple of signings in the near future. I think they are very strongly in position to potentially sign Al Horford. They're also in potentially a strong candidate to sign DeAnthony Melton, who would be adding depth to their wing. And they have the number one free agent really left on the market in restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga. They're going to do something with him. They are either going to re-sign him or they're going to sign and trade him for something. So the Warriors are going to be doing things between now and when the season starts. Kuminga's situation may not resolve itself for a while, but they're going to benefit from that, either getting assets back for him or keeping him. Do not stress about the Warriors. They are a very strong team. They are in excellent position. They are certainly not the favorites to win anything, but they are going to be a potent team. Complaining that they haven't actually done anything yet is frankly shallow thinking.
All right, we'll leave it here.